The Mississippi River is not scenery, it's infrastructure. In 2019, this river moved more than 500 million short tons of cargo. Grain, coal, petroleum, steel, fertilizer, chemicals. From Minneapolis to the Gulf of Mexico, locks and dams step the river down toward world markets. Most people see a river. The freight system sees a highway. A single 15-barge tow can carry 875,000 bushels of grain. That's the equivalent of almost 216 railcars, or 1,000 trucks. One towboat, one pilot, one channel. The Mississippi River, Texas Gulf, and East Gulf port regions accounted for 51% of U.S. grain inspected or weighed for export in 2024. 65.4 million metric tons. Barges moved 44% of U.S. grain exports in 2022. This is the physical chain connecting inland grain production to export terminals and overseas markets. But the system has a constraint. It runs on water, and water levels change. The grain moves in stages. Grain reaches riverside elevators by truck.
It is prepared for storage and transfer, then held in concrete silos that rise above the riverbank like grain skyscrapers. When a barge tow arrives, conveyors load the grain into the open or covered holds. 15 barges make a tow. The towboat pushes, not pulls. The tow moves south, stopping at locks where the river steps down. Each lock chamber can take one tow at a time. The upstream gate opens, the tow moves in, the gate closes behind. Water drains to match the downstream level. The downstream gate opens, the tow continues. From the upper Mississippi to the lower Mississippi, through Memphis, Vicksburg, Baton Rouge, to the Gulf terminals near New Orleans. The export elevators there load the grain onto ocean-going ships bound for Africa, Europe, and Asia. The whole system depends on one variable: depth. The Mississippi River Navigation Channel is maintained at a depth of 9 feet. That's the standard the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers dredges, marks, and defends. 9 feet sounds arbitrary. It's not. Channel depth determines how deep a loaded barge can sit in the water. It's draft. Draft determines payload. Payload determines how many round trips are needed to move the same amount of grain. The Corps monitors the river through a network of gauges that measure water level in feet above or below a fixed reference point. When the reading drops, the available depth in the channel shrinks. And when depth shrinks, the whole system tightens. At Vicksburg, Mississippi, the river drains 1,144,500 square miles, nearly 1/3 of the continental United States. Everything upstream, every rainstorm in Minnesota, every dry spell in the Ohio River Basin shows up in the gauge reading. The Memphis gauge, over 73 years of record, has measured a median discharge of 479,000 cubic feet per second on June 17th. But the range is enormous. The minimum on that date was 150,000 cubic feet per second in 1988. The maximum was 1,280,000 in 2019. The river swings between extremes, and in the fall of 2022, it swung low. October 2022 was hot and dry across the Midwest. Rain didn't come. Reservoir releases couldn't compensate. River levels fell to depths the navigation industry hadn't seen in decades. On October 15th, the Mississippi River at New Madrid, Missouri, dropped to -5.45 feet, the lowest level ever recorded at that location since observations began in 1879. By late October, drought and extreme heat had pushed river levels so low that commercial barge traffic faced difficulty navigating portions of the Mississippi from Cairo, Illinois to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Vicksburg, the gauge measured 1.3 feet on October 28th, about 9 feet below the average stage for October. It was the lowest the river had been at Vicksburg since 2012. For a towboat pilot, that reading changes everything. You're watching depth charts, navigation markers, and core bulletins. Shoals that were submerged at normal water are now shallow enough to ground a loaded barge. You slow down. You lighten the load. You wait for dredging. The Corps deployed dredge vessels to cut high spots and maintain the 9-foot navigation channel. On October 27th through 29th, the river near Rosedale, Mississippi, was temporarily closed to navigation so the dredge Jadwin could clear the channel. Despite the low gauge reading at Vicksburg, the Vicksburg district maintained approximately 13 feet of water in the navigation channel through continuous dredging operations. But other reaches were tighter. In November, the Corps deployed the dredge Dubuque to another trouble spot. A dredge operator later said the towing industry was almost completely halted until dredging could clear the shoals. When water levels drop, the navigation industry faces restrictions on load sizes and vessel drafts, delays from temporary channel closures during dredging or groundings, and loss of access at some ports. The 2022 event didn't stop the river, but it slowed it. Less cargo could move through the same corridor on the same schedule. The system adapted. The Corps deployed dredges to cut high spots and keep the navigation channel open. Crews worked the shoals that constrained traffic. Pilots also rely on navigation aids and channel surveys. As the river changes, every marker and depth reading matters. Terminals had to plan around draft restrictions, temporary closures, and the loss of access at some ports. None of this is automatic. It's managed. The Corps, the Coast Guard, terminal operators, towboat pilots, and schedulers respond in real time. The Mississippi River system bent under the pressure of October 2022. It didn't break, but it revealed the limits of flexibility in a high-volume freight corridor.
Capacity loss is not theoretical, it's operational. For one day, a local navigation closure stops traffic in that reach. Tows wait until the channel reopens, and the delay begins moving through the schedule. For 1 week, sustained draft restrictions mean lighter loads. Each delivery carries less cargo, throughput falls, and terminals adjust their schedules. For 1 month, repeated trouble spots and dredging delays make the corridor less predictable. Pilots move cautiously through constrained reaches, and loads remain limited where draft restrictions require it. These are not predictions. They are descriptions of what capacity loss looks like in operational terms. The system is built to handle variability, but sustained restrictions propagate through the freight chain. The Mississippi River system is built infrastructure, and infrastructure requires continuous management. The Rock Island District alone maintains 314 miles of 9-foot navigation channel on the Mississippi River, including 12 lock and dam sites, plus another 268 miles on the Illinois Waterway with 6 more locks. That's one district. The river spans several. Dredging, lock operations, gauge data, surveys, and navigation aids all contribute to keeping the corridor usable as conditions change. The river swings between extremes. In May 2011, the highest discharge ever recorded at Vicksburg reached 2,310,000 cubic feet per second during the historic flood. 16 months later, in October 2012, the gauge was reading near record lows again. The system is designed to handle that range, but not passively. It requires dredging when the channel shoals. It requires lock maintenance when gates wear out. It requires navigation aids when sandbars shift overnight. It requires scheduling when the water is too high or too low for normal operations. Low water events like October 2022 test the system's ability to adapt quickly. Future droughts may test it again. The response will be the same: adjust operations, move dredges, reposition markers, and keep the channel open. The Mississippi River is not a river that moves itself. It's a managed freight corridor. And in 2019, more than 500 million short tons of cargo depended on it working.